Pretty spectacular, right? You know, there isn't another project quite like Station Park. We've been involved with this project since the beginning, and the one thing I can tell you that's remained true to it the whole time is the desire to be unlike any other real estate development. And this project has done it. It's absolutely incredible. Whether you're someone who's looking to move in yourself or an investor who's looking to take advantage of low supply in the marketplace, this project provides you with an opportunity like no other. But it's not just what's happening on site at Station Park, it's what's happening all around Station Park that makes this opportunity so unique. This area is absolutely bursting at the seams with growth and quickly becoming a real estate investor's dream. Let's take a walk up to the sales center and meet Tim Bolton, who's leading our grand opening efforts here, and talk more about what makes Kitchener-Waterloo an investment powerhouse. This is really an impressive presentation center, pretty suiting of a project of this scale. I mean, what other project is planned to have this level of amenity? Not to mention over 50,000 square feet of cool shops, restaurants, grocery and cafes, and 180,000 square feet of office space that'll bring employment right to the heart of Station Park.
It's huge, and it's allowed for development on the size and scale that we've never seen in Waterloo region, and I'd be hard pressed to think of many cities in Canada where you could do a site this tremendous.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most impressive things about the development that makes it stand out, not just in this region, but probably across Canada as a whole. The story here is not just about Station Park and the site. There's just so much going on around this property that makes it so impressive.
Yeah, I mean, Station Park is perfectly positioned to benefit from Waterloo region's thriving tech industry, right? We're right on the doorstep here of Google, who recently announced that they're going to begin imminent construction of yet another part of their headquarters. And eventually we're going to see up to 5,000 people working at Google directly across the street here from Station Park. But it's not just the story about Google, Jeff. We've got other major multinational companies here. The region is known for Shopify. We've got SAP. We've got Square, we've got OpenText, and many, many more. So there are large companies that call the region home, and they're here for the talent, and they're all growing.
Well, there's some companies that may not be household names yet, but are worth hundreds of millions of dollars or even $1 billion in value that are creating a lot of value in the area here in terms of employment growth, right?
Yeah, there's no question. So we've got the second highest density of startups in the world here in the Waterloo Tech Corridor. And what's unique about that is there are companies that are locating here for exposure to the tech talent, and they are growing. And some of the companies that we might mention, like Arctic Wolf, eCentire, Applyboard, you've got Vidyard, and the list goes on, right? And these are companies that have become international, and as they continue to grow, investors can really benefit from buying in that ecosystem today and benefiting as they become massive tomorrow.
And there's also companies that outside of the tech industry are now forming to kind of get a piece of the action amidst some of the tech boom here.
When you have this much momentum in an industry as we do with technology, you have major companies that provide supporting services that take note. A couple examples off the top of my head would be Deloitte and KPMG, and they're here to participate in that thriving market, right? So looking at companies like that coming in, that to me is a strong reason to believe in the area. The infrastructure here is really developing as well. We've got a new transit hub beginning construction this fall that's going to focus on connecting the LRT, which runs right past Station Park up to the University of Waterloo, there in the north end and all the way down to South Kitchener. It interacts with the GO train, which is going to be stepping up service, two-way all-day GO to Toronto, dramatically reducing commute times. And all of those things are a big deal. So it's a safe and fun place to live with the right things being done, planning for the future.
Yeah, and what most people don't realize is the pace at which this area is growing, right? Like, this area is one of the fastest growing communities in Canada. We're growing at over 5 times the rate of Toronto. If you look at even cities in and around Toronto, like Markham or Mississauga, between 4 and 20 times the growth of those cities. Like, the growth here is just unprecedented, and it's really telling when you're here and you see it.
Yeah, I mean, to quantify that, over the next 28 or 29 years, projections show that we need or are going to receive over 300,000 new residents in the region. So that works out to just under 15,000 per year, and by all accounts, those are conservative estimates.
Yeah, and so is that enough? Do we have enough housing to meet that level of demand?
We don't. Vacancy in the region is incredibly low, and we're really going to have to pick it up in order to meet future demand. Would you be able to comment on how the region stacks up to other major cities across Ontario and Canada?
Well, when you talk about vacancy rates, when we look at vacancy rates, Kitchener-Waterloo actually has a lower vacancy rate than Toronto, Montreal, Edmonton, Calgary, Ottawa, Hamilton. So across a lot of the major areas throughout Canada, the vacancy rates in Kitchener-Waterloo are below those, which I think is telling of that supply demand and that need for housing.
Yeah, regional vacancy rates are incredibly low, but in the downtown area here, there's definitely not enough housing, particularly with Google growing the way that it is. There is a massive deficit in supply, and people are regularly inquiring how they can get into this area to live, and Station Park is going to step in and fill that void.
So we've talked about supply and demand. How does this area stack up against some of the other cities in the area or major centers?
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing a massive increase in interest from areas like Toronto and some other larger cities. Investors are coming here, and what they're attracted to and what they're really surprised by is how strong our rental rates are and how modest the purchase prices are compared to their home market. So people can come in here and like hypothetical numbers, of course, right? But pay $550,000 for a unit you can rent out for, let's say, $2,100. But you look at a larger city where costs are higher, you might pay $750,000 for that same unit and rent it out for about the same dollars, right? So investors look at the region and say, I have an opportunity to capture great rental rates here and pay less.
We've talked today about what makes Kitchener-Waterloo a real estate investment powerhouse. I'm on the deck of the presentation center here at Station Park, and what becomes clear when you're here is all the economic growth and activity happening right around us. Google across the road, the GO station literally up the street, and all of the companies we talked about over my shoulders. This market is absolutely exploding at the seams and providing an opportunity like no other. But you're not buying into the market for an opportunity today or on the emotion or rates of today. You're buying on an opportunity for 3 years from now when this market's going to be hugely undersupplied of housing, and Station Park will be there to fill this void. Stay tuned to future videos where you'll have an opportunity to check out the presentation center for yourself in person ahead of the public launch.